All right, here in about 45 seconds, we'll be pushing live to the virtual platform.
Okay.
Then I'll reach back out to you in about 3.5 minutes. We'll be ready to
Okay.
go.
All right.
Thanks. All right, Harold, we're about a minute and a half out. I'm going to stop share here on my side. So when you're ready, just click that share screen button.
Yeah.
All right, slide looks good. And momentarily, I'll lead us off with a quick introduction and we'll be all set to go.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Money Show's virtual expo. Thanks so much for being here. We are pleased to welcome Harold Morris. Harold is a senior product coach for Leaderboard and Market Surge. He has traded stocks using the CanSlim strategy since 1998. Mr. Morris began working for Investors Business Daily in April of 2002 and has been involved in all aspects of IBD's investing workshops and home study courses, including serving as a national education speaker. Harold specializes in providing introductory, intermediate, and advanced investing seminars to individual and professional investors alike, and has been successful at teaching them how to spot emerging growth stocks that meet IBD's investing criteria. Harold, thank you so much for joining us again. It's all yours.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for joining me today. Uh, Welcome to today's presentation, how to succeed in the stock market with IBD. And and again, I will be your host today. I'm a senior product coach, IBD Live panelist, been on the speaking circuit. But our mission at IBD is this: we want to help IBD members make more money in the market. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's why we're all here. We want to be able to make money in the market. So first, we have the disclaimer. Everything we do here today is for educational purposes only. I am not a licensed broker. No one here at IBD is a licensed broker, so you can't call and email and ask questions about what stocks to buy, when to sell, how to handle your portfolio, etc. So here's today's agenda. So first, I want to talk about who is IBD. So if you're not familiar with that, we'll go with just a quick story on the background of IBD. We're going to talk about the four pillars of the IBD methodology. How do we take the information that we provide in our IBD digital and put that into action? I'm going to go over some of our products that we have here at IBD. So we have a variety of different products for different needs. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on the routine. There's a three-step routine that we use for the IBD digital. So I'll go through that, and then I'll talk about support that we have, how you get started, and time permitting, we'll go through a Q&A. All right, so who is IBD? So IBD was founded by William O'Neill in 1984, and he came out with the publication called Investors Daily, which eventually became Investors Business Daily. And then in March of 2021, we were acquired by Dow Jones. So we are a Dow Jones company. But the great thing about this acquisition is one of the things that Dow Jones said, we're going to let IBD be IBD. So that's been a great thing. So we're operating the same. We just have different ownership. All right. So again, we're here to help IBD customers make money in the market. We have a fact-based system that we use to buy stocks and to sell stocks. So it's a system. It's rules-based. So we have rules for selling, rules for buying. So it's a system that anyone can use. Okay, it's going to take some work. This is not a get rich quick, but it's a system that anyone can use. And that's one of the things we provide here is some specifics on buy rules and sell rules. Now, overall, IBD, our approach is these three concepts. So we have fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and market timing. So fundamental analysis, fundamental is just looking at the sales, earnings, profit margins. So those are the fundamentals. We also employ in technical analysis. So we'll bring up a chart. We have certain chart patterns we use to identify places to buy the stock. We also use that same chart to sell a stock. We don't look at the fundamentals when it's time to sell, especially. So when it's time to sell, we only look at the chart. And then market timing. That it is extremely important because you can do all the right things with the fundamental analysis, analyzing the stock's sales, earnings, profit margin, etc. You can do a great job and do the technical analysis, identifying the buy point for a stock or the sell point. But if you're not in sync with the market, all that work that you look at with the fundamentals and the technicals, all that's not going to pay off if you're not in sync with the market. And we'll discuss how IBD keeps you in sync with the overall market. All right, so how do we take those three concepts we just looked at and put them into action? So here at IBD, we have what we call the four pillars of the IBD methodology. So the pillar number one is fundamental analysis. Okay, we pay strict attention to the fundamentals. A lot of people know us or think of us as a momentum strategy, which is true, but we always start out with the fundamentals. So we like to see stocks that have strong fundamentals, strong sales, earnings, profit margins. In fact, some of you may be familiar with the IBD rating called a composite rating. Well, that rating is very heavily weighted towards the fundamentals of a stock. It's about 70% fundamentals, 30% your tactical. So fundamental analysis is extremely important with IBD. So once we're comfortable with the fundamentals, we like to look at the chart and see if this stock if is it in a position to buy. So a stock can have the great fundamentals, but is it in a position to buy? That's where we look at the chart. So we have chart patterns that we look at. Some of you are familiar with that: cup with handle, flat base, double bottom. So we look at those different patterns. There's actually a total of 7 of them, but those 3 I just mentioned, those are the 3 most common patterns that you're going to see when you're looking at stocks in IBD. So technical analysis is extremely important. And again, we use this technical analysis to determine when we sell a stock. Okay, so we're not looking at the fundamentals when it comes time to sell a stock. We're strictly looking at the chart, looking at the price action, looking at the volume, and then we determine when it's time to sell a stock. And again, we have rules for buying that stock, and we have rules for selling a stock. So our entire system, it's rules based. And then pillar number 3, we want to stay in phase with the market. So as I mentioned a moment ago, you can do a great job on the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis, but if you're not in phase with the market, you're not in sync with the market, all that work is not gonna it's not gonna pay off like it should. So we have a specific strategy to identify tops in the market and identify bottoms in the market. You can time the market, despite what is commonly heard on Wall Street. You can time them out. You can time the market, and we have a very specific strategy that we use to do our market timing strategy. And then pillar number 4 is staying in the game, risk management, because you gotta have rules. Again, sell rules. If you're going to be in this game a long time, you need to know how to keep your losses as small as possible. You need to be able to protect your capital. The great traders in today's market, the Druckenmiller, Bill O'Neill, Warren Buffett, they all employ sell rules because that's how you get longevity in the game of the stock market. I don't like using the word game, but you got to have sell rules and other risk management techniques to create some longevity in the market there. All right, here's just a brief overview of some of the products that we have have to offer here at IBD. Our premium product called Market Search. So Market Search, it is a charting service. Okay, so with Market Search, the assumption is that you're very familiar with the sell rules and buy rules that we use here at IBD. You're just looking for a product where you can do your own screening, your own analysis. You don't want to depend on a list like the IBD 50, which is a great list, but you want to be able to do your own type of work. So with Market Surge, you have to be the type of person that says, "Hey, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to do my own screening. I'm going to do my own analysis and come up with my own stocks. And I know when to buy them. I know when to sell them. I know how to manage that position." So that's what a Market Search subscription. Again, it's much more hands-on than any other product that we have here at IBD. Next product I want to talk about is called Swing Trader. So swing trading is for short-term profits. So swing trading, we do look at the fundamentals, but it's not a very emphasis on the fundamentals. So typically in swing trading, we're looking to get in the stock, hold the stock for about 8 to 10 days, and get out. Look for about an 8 to 10% profit, and get out and move on and look for something else. Uh, let's talk about leaderboard. So leaderboard is almost the opposite of swing trader, where with leaderboard, uh, we're looking at the fundamentals of the stock, and the objective is to find a fundamentally and technically strong stock and hold it as long as possible. So leaderboard is more your typical a growth stock strategy, where we're looking to buy that stock and hold it as long as possible. Leaderboard and Swing Trader both have portfolio managers here at IBD. So in Swing Trader, when they go to take a position in the stock, they send out an alert. that they're going to buy a stock at a certain price. When it's time to sell a stock, they'll send out another alert. Same situation with the leaderboard. Leaderboard is also run by a couple of portfolio managers here at IBD. So again, when they go to take a position in a stock, they send out alerts saying we're buying this stock at this price. If they happen to add to that position, they'll send out another alert. If it's time to take profits, they'll send out an alert. Or if this trade is not working out at all, they'll send out another alert. So every step of the way, you get alerted as to exactly what the leaderboard portfolio managers are doing with the leaderboard. Same thing with the swing trader. Well, the portfolio managers are letting you know exactly what they're doing when it comes to buying a stock and managing that position. And then we have the IBD Live. So IBD Live, it's a live trading program. So we come on about 10 minutes before the market opens, talk about the news of the day, and then once the market opens, we start bringing up charts, showing you how we would trade the stock here. Or maybe we wouldn't trade it. We'll go over the reasons why we would not trade a stock. So every morning, IBD Live, there's always 4 traders here from IBD. I happen to be on this morning, but there's 4 traders, and we just talk about, okay, these are the stocks that we're interested in. This is how we're going to buy the stock. Here's where we're going to manage that position and how we're going to manage it. And here's our exit strategy. So that's IBD Live. It's a live trading program every morning. And then IBD Digital, that's our basic product. So IBD Digital gives you access to the online version of the newspaper. So we have a newspaper that comes out on the weekends. The IBD Digital gives you access to the online version of that paper. So the IBD Digital and the online version, it's literally a digital image of the printed copy of the paper. Along with the IBD Digital, you get research tools on our website. One of the more commonly used tools is a tool called a stock checkup. So the stock checkup gives you a breakdown of the stock based on 30 technical and fundamental data points. So stock checkup is a great tool. And then there's also other lists like the IBD 50 sector leaders stock spotlight, where you can do a little research and come up with stocks that will that you can buy that would be worthy of your portfolio. And then we also have a email newsletter. So that's what the Market DM is. So Market DM, it is an email newsletter. It comes out every morning, and I like to say it's a hard-hitting email newsletter, because in that newsletter they have stocks that are performing well, stocks that are setting up, stocks that aren't doing so well. They also give you information as to what the overall market is doing. So Market DM, it's a great way to keep on top of what stocks are performing well, and what the overall market is doing. So that's just a quick summary of the products that we have here at IBD. So I'm going to spend most of my time here on the IBD Digital. So IBD Digital, that's our basic product. So IBD Digital, again, you get the online version of the newspaper that comes out on the weekends, and then you get other tools on the website. I mentioned the research tool. So you have the research, the IBD stock checkup. That's a tool that will give you a breakdown of the stock based on 30 fundamental and technical data points. In addition to that, the stock checkup will show you the top 5 stocks in the same industry group as the stock that you're looking at. So if you plug in a stock and let's say it doesn't have such great ratings, but the stock checkup will show you the top 5 stocks in the same industry group that you were considering. So I like to consider the IBD stock checkup. It's like a stock assistant. So it could point you to some top performing stocks that you may not have ever heard of. So that's one of the research tools on investors.com, which is part of the IBD Digital. And then, of course, you can bring up a chart. So if you see a stock that you're interested in, you can bring up a chart, daily chart, weekly charts. And then we have the different lists here at IBD. The IBD 50, which is more commonly what most people know us by, the IBD 50 list. The IBD 50 list, in a nutshell, it's the top 50 growth stocks according to IBD. And again, the market timing aspect, I mentioned that earlier, I talked about that earlier. So market timing is extremely important. So we have this stock market exposure where our markets team, they will adjust the exposure level according to what the market is doing. So in other words, like in this image here, back in, let's say it was late March when the market was selling off, we were down about 20% on the indexes. we're pretty much in cash. So we're telling our subscribers that based on what the market is doing, most of your portfolio should be in cash now because the market has been selling off. We peaked in February and then started selling off. Now, we didn't wait till the bottom to go to cash. We started selling stock uh, pretty much close to the top because the market was showing some signs of topping out. And our exposure level back in mid-February was at 100%. But as the market started to sell off, we started telling our subscribers to, start taking some money off the table, lock in some profits. Maybe not buy stocks that you're considering because the market wasn't looking so well. So we have our market exposure. And then part of the market exposure and part of our market timing is the big picture article, which includes this little market pulse box here. So in the market pulse box, it's just a quick synopsis as to what's going on with the market. So when I bring up this article called The Big Picture, I typically look at this first. And I just want to see, okay, has the exposure level changed? If the exposure level did change, they'll write about it in the article. So they'll write about why we changed the article or why we changed our exposure level and what we're looking at to cause us to make that change. So I look at this market pulse box here, and then I'll read the rest of the article just to get some details as to what's going on in the overall market. So the IBD Digital, you have the big picture article, you have the market pulse. This is the market pulse I just mentioned a moment ago. You can find stocks. We have the different lists in IBD, like the IBD 50, the sector leaders, stock spotlight. Stock spotlight happens to be my favorite list. A lot of people like looking at the IBD 50. It's a great list, but I tend to favor the stock spotlight because I've found many good stocks over the years using that list. And then we have a stock of the day, which is an article where our research team will highlight a stock that says, okay, this stock is looking good. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a buy, but this is a stock that you may want to put on a watch list and keep track of it. And then there's stocks on the move. So stocks on the move, there's a little image of it here. So it's an algorithm that runs constantly throughout the market session, and it's looking for stocks experiencing price appreciation to the upside, on strong volume. So price and volume, those are the two main components that the stocks on the move is looking at. Then there's stock screener on the website, and then stock lists. So once you're looking at the different lists, you need to put those stocks on a list so you can track them and follow up on them. So with the IBD Digital, you can create 5 different stock lists, and each of those lists can hold up to 50 stocks. So you can track a lot of stocks with the IBD stock list. And then stock checkup, I mentioned that a couple times. That's a tool that'll give you 30 different, give you a breakdown based on 30 different technical and fundamental data points. So that's stock checkup, and then the IBD chart. You can always pull up a daily or weekly or even an intraday chart using the IBD Digital. And then the Market DM. The Market DM, as I mentioned a moment ago, that is a newsletter where it gets delivered to you by email every day. It has stock ideas. It has a stock of the day and other information as to what's going on with the overall market. All right, so I mentioned the 3-step routine, and that 3-step routine is using the IBD Digital product. And we have an offer that I'm going to talk about once we get to the end, but it's using the IBD Digital. So first thing you do with your IBD Digital or any subscription that you have here at IBD, you need to know what the market is doing. So you want to check the market trends because stocks follow the trend of the market. We've seen that this year. When the market topped in February, started to sell off, stocks are selling off with it. In early April, the market started to bottom and it started to go up. We had a follow through day on April 22nd. That the follow through day is a signal to get back into the market. And the market's still going up. So if you're following IBD, you should have been in the market on April 22nd to start buying stocks here, and the market still going up. Did we know that this uptrend was going to last this long? No, we did not. One thing we don't do here at IBD is try to predict or forecast what the market's going to do. The bottom line, nobody really knows, so we make no attempts on forecasting. So our approach is to look at the market is doing, and then we act accordingly. So the market told us on April 22nd, it is time to get in. So that's when we started buying stocks here at IBD. So knowing the trend is extremely important. And then finding stocks. So the step two of the three-step routine is finding stocks. I mentioned a few lists like the IBD 50. I know a lot of people just use the IBD 50 alone for finding stock ideas because there's a lot of good stocks on that list. I like to use a couple lists. I mentioned the other one that I tend to like better than the IBD 50. It's a list called the Stock Spotlight. So Stock Spotlight is a list on investors.com, which is part of IBD Digital, and it tends to feature stocks in some of your top industry groups. That's what I like about the stock, because one of the things that we teach here at IBD, you want to have a strong stock in strong industry groups. And that's one of the things I find in this list called the Stock Spotlight. And then step three, so after you're familiar with what the market is, you've found some stocks on a list like the IBD 50 or the Stock Spotlight. So now you need to evaluate that stock. It's great that it's on a list, but you need to look at the sales, the earnings, the profit margins, accumulation distribution, SMR rating, which SMR is sales, margins, return on equity. So it takes those three metrics and combines them all into an alphabetical rating. So you do that with that tool called the stock checkup. So in a nutshell, that's the process here. Checking the market, looking at a list called the IBD 50, and then taking one of those stocks from the IBD 50 and then plug it into the stock checkup so you can get a breakdown of the stock based on the technical and fundamental data. I know a lot of subscribers, you get a lot of information from a lot of sources nowadays. I know a lot of people like to use the IBD stock checkup as a final authority. So they'll get a stock from another source and they'll plug it in to see what does IBD have to say about this stock. Once they're satisfied with what IBD has to say, then they'll go ahead and go forward with that stock there. So IBD stock checkup, very powerful tool. Okay, so here is step one. So remember evaluating the market. So this is this big picture article. Again, you have to know what trend on the market is, and here's that stock. That's the big picture article. This is the market pulse. This is part of the big picture article, and this category here, distribution days, very important category. This is what we use to identify a potential top in the market. So, and I say potential, doesn't mean that the market isn't a top off, but potentially could. So we pay strict attention to distribution days. So that's in the big picture article, which can be found in Investors Business Daily. So again, this is step one of the three-step routine. Step two is finding stocks. I mentioned it earlier. You look at the different lists with the IBD 50, the sector leaders, the stock spotlight, and there's other screens on investors.com. You could use the stocks on the move. That's that, excuse me, that's that running algorithm on the homepage of investors.com where it's looking for stocks moving up in price on strong volume. So step two is finding stocks. And then step three, again, it's evaluating stocks. This is that stock checkup that I mentioned a moment ago. So again, there are 30 different technical and fundamental data points. Now, you can see the green, there's different dots here. Green for pass, yellow for neutral, red for failing. You don't count red versus green and make a decision. You just want to, this is just information there. So you use that stock checkup to just to get an evaluation of the stock fundamentally and technically. Once you're satisfied with the fundamentals and the technicals, then you want to pull up a chart to see, does it have a buy point? Is there a chart pattern? Now, one of the things our IBD lists do, they'll tell you if the stock has a buy point. So there's always a one-line commentary below the stock chart when you're looking at a list like the IBD 50. It'll show you all the fundamentals of the stock, and at the bottom of that little chart, there's a one-line commentary that tells you, okay, the stock is a buy point out of a cup with handle with a buy point of say $100. So our list will give you that information, so you don't have to do the analysis all on your own. We do a lot of hand holding, I like to say, when it comes to chart analysis. So this is step three of the three-part routine. So again, we like to look at the market. That's step one. Step 2 is looking at stocks, stock lists. And step 3 is the evaluation using the stock checkup and then pulling up a chart to see if the stock is in a position to buy. And as far as support for IBD, we have a lot of webinars. Now these webinars are we have a lot of free webinars on our websites. You don't necessarily have to have a subscription to IBD to watch any of our websites, any of our webinars. We do have live events. Now these live events are not in person, but we do hold live events via Zoom. And if you can't make the event live, there's always a recording, so you can always watch the recording, typically starting the day after that event. And then we have the IBD University, which is a ton of educational information to help you get educated. Because in my opinion, education, that's your number one risk strategy. Because if you don't know what to do, then how are you going to protect your portfolio? So we are very, very big on educating you on how to handle the market, how to handle your portfolio. What are the rules are, buy rules and sell rules. So we're very big on education here at IBD. So Q&A. So how are we doing on time here? Do we have enough time to go through any questions here? I didn't. Okay, well, I am not seeing any questions come through. So hopefully I did a good job in guiding you through what IBD has to offer. Now we do have an offer. So here is the offer that we have here at IBD. So it's $15 for 6 weeks of the IBD Digital. So remember the three-step routine that I went through? That's using the IBD Digital here. So the offer is $15 for 6 weeks of the IBD Digital, and then the Market DM newsletter. That is here's a promotion where you can get it. Uh, that's real cheap, $5 a month for the IBD Digital. And I was turn my picture off because there is a sign up here. So it's below the video so you can see the screen and take advantage of that offer. So again, 15 weeks for 6 weeks of the IBD Digital. And with that, that's all I have for today. So
Right.
just want to say thanks to all of you for taking the time to be on today's session. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week as far as your trading activities are concerned. So thank you very much.
All right, Harold, thank you so much. We did have a viewer, they just typed in, they're wondering if you use options.
Yeah, I do. Personally, I do trade options. Now, IBD, we do not offer any option strategies or education. There is a great article, which is free on investors.com, that talks about different option strategies. One of the things I do on IBD Live, that's a live trading program that we have here every day. I go through an option trade. So, but with IBD, we do not identify what stocks are optionable. Pretty much everything is optional nowadays, but a lot of people like to use our list for option trades because for that option to work, you need to have a good stock. And IBD is a good place to find good stocks. And then you just plug that into you go to your trading platform. You want to look at the bid ask and other things as far as option strategies. But bottom line is we do not teach option strategies here.
All right, thank you. Let's see if we had any other questions come in. It looks like that was the last of the questions that did come in.
Okay.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Harold, thanks so much. Always a pleasure. Did you have any other? Oh, here is another. Is IBD University rolled into a subscription?
IBD University is free. So you do not have to have a subscription to IBD University. You just go to investors.com, and at the top you'll see where it says learn. You just hover your mouse on learn and you get a little drop down. It'll have different subjects that you can click on for education in the IBD University. It'll take you to the IBD University.
Another question rolled in here, Harold. What types of investors does IBD target? Is it individual investors or financial professionals? What's the main, or is it just a mix of all?
It's a mix. So we have a lot of financial uh, professionals that use our information. We have a lot of individual investors that use our information. If I don't know the total numbers, but I would lean more towards individuals, people who want to people say, "Hey, I want to take control of my own investing," and they'll use IBD to do that. So I would say the majority of our subscribers are individual investors, but there are many professionals out there that use our information.
All right, thank you. Time for one more. If you can answer this, the viewers are wondering, what's your favorite stock right now?
My favorite stock is actually a stock that was featured in an article of New America, which is in IBD every weekend. It's called Asteria. Ticker symbol is ALAB. It just reported earnings last night. It had a real strong move to the upside. It's one of those AI plays right now. You know, AI is doing very well, so they have um, a chip that works in cloud computing and AI. So I really like Astera Labs. Again, this is not a buy recommendation, but the stock that was featured in our New America just this past weekend.
All right, brilliant. Thank you so much, Harold. And thanks again to everyone in attendance. You're watching Money Show's virtual expo. We're speaking here at Harold Morris, National Education Speaker, Investors Business Daily. Harold, have a fantastic day. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And to all those in attendance, thank you again very much. Stick around. We have more great content coming your way to close out the day. Thanks for being here.